Hey, no problem. So, Stephen Dees, I see already you're sponsoring a t-shirt right now. So, I mean, that looks cool. Novo Combo. And you have a nice room in the back of you. So,
Yeah, this is my music room where I do stuff for sure. I record back here and write and do my thing.
how's life in general for you these days? I mean, the new album, everything's going along fine.
Yeah, well, it took it was a lot of effort getting the record together, but it's going well. I mean, every basically, I like the way it came out. So yeah, so I'm happy about that for sure. We all are. Um, but a lot of help and from my wife doing a lot of putting the album together,
Mhm.
and I'm very happy with it, with that and happy to be here today. Yeah, it was Michael Shreve's apartment in New York City. It's where I first met Michael, and it was the headquarters, the central place or where we put Novo Combo together back in the day. And I thought, well, that's where it all began. Let's call it that.
To start back, you know,
Yeah, yeah. And because the first time I met Michael was there at that apartment.
let's say performing, and knowing how much greatness Michael Trees brought, with
Yeah.
playing at Woodstock, in 1969, and the legendary footages, all that stuff.
Mm.
It must be a good feeling for you to be, associated with that. And I'm sure you asked a lot of questions about that event to Michael.
Um, Well, I was a legitimate fan of Michael's. In fact, I love Santana. I was a Santana fan, and I remember seeing that movie at the drive-in after having several tokes and with my a good drummer friend of mine, and we were both like, "Whoa, that guy was awesome." We
Yeah.
were really blown away by his performance, and that made me well, I mean, I was already a fan of Santana's, but seeing them and Michael, his energy, it just spoke to me because I'm a pretty high energy player myself. And I was like, wow, that guy's great. Never thinking I'd ever be in a band with him, that's for sure. But when we got together, I could tell Michael's always about looking ahead. So, he doesn't really care to talk about that much other than, yeah, that was great. It was good. But, we were there to make new music,
Hmm.
when I met Mike, and that's what it was all about, going forward. And but yeah, I mean, it was, I'm a bass player, so playing with a great drummer is the shit.
Of course, it is.
I
And
mean, it means everything to me. If you don't have a happening rhythm section, you're not happening, I don't think. But so he was happening for sure.
he certainly was happening, and imagery was so super cool to, observe that. When you realize Woodstock, just to go on that for a minute here, um, you have three legendary drummers sharing that stage. Mitch Mitchell, from Jimi Hendrix.
Right
You
on.
have Fito Laparo Ken Heat,
Ah, that's right.
and Santana, Michael Shreves
Well,
from
the
one
really
venue.
incredible, yeah, the really incredible thing about their performance is that they didn't even have a record out. Nobody knew who Santana was when they played Woodstock. They were a totally unknown band. And Bill Graham was their manager, and he got him on because, he managed a bunch of people. He said, well, I'll give you these people if you put my band on. I said, well, who are they? And he said, trust me, they're going to be great. And
Right.
they ended up being one of the highlights. There's no question about it, of the whole Woodstock thing. Their show was amazing. And people accepted them right off the bat. Like they just responded to them so well because those rhythms, man, they were just so intense. What they were doing, you just had to groove on it, and everybody was like, "Who are these guys?"
Yeah.
And then, of course, after Woodstock, their record came out,
Yeah.
and that was that. But I mean, just amazing that an unknown band could move so many people like they did,
Without
and
internet back then.
yeah, just
Not with that.
incredible, incredible.
And it helps being filmed and being immortalized. and
Absolutely. Yeah, and on acid, by the way, you know.
of course.
Because I mean, Carlos would hang out, with us in New York at Novo Combo, and he was just saying like it was all I could do to just try to keep it together. You know what I mean? It was like, what's happening? Because he was on acid, it's like I'm freaking out here, but I'm going to keep it together. It's
Yeah,
and that's happened to me before. I've been dosed without even knowing it at a gig, and it's very hard to try to keep it together, when you're on acid, for sure.
and that wouldn't be good.
No, it's not good.
Certainly when you're not wanting to take it.
No, no, I don't need acid to play music, for sure. No.
No. So let's say with recording the album here, like how much time did we put into songwriting and going to the studio and recording and producing it to have what we have now,
But
from
the
mixing
new
and
re
mastering.
the new record, the new one.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, what we did was, um, I had I had gone into my all of my tapes and stuff from the past. I was going through stuff, and then I found all these Novo Combos tracks that were never released, and or they were demos of songs that actually appeared on our first record. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, what a great band. It was really a great band. And it just got me excited. And I thought, well, why don't we kind of do like the Beatles did with their anthology, where they went to the past and put some stuff together, demos and songs that were never on a record, and then do some new stuff as well. So we I picked all the songs that I thought were happening, and I reached out to the guys and presented the idea, and they said, okay, well, that seems like a pretty good idea. And because we're a democracy, it's a very democratic band, and so we all picked the songs, uh, previous songs that we had done that never had been recorded but never released, and also some demo songs that were actually on our first record. But the amazing thing is, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this before, how often people say, well, we did a demo and the demo sounded better than the record,
yeah.
right? Well, actually, that is true in some of these cases, because I was like, wow, this sounds better than the record to me. Because there was, which I really love about the demos that we have on this record, is that we literally, when we did demos back in those days, we would go in for one afternoon and record live. Boom, like 4 songs or something. Completely live, maybe an occasional one overdub or something, but it was totally real, raw, And to me, like, well, that's the shit, man. You know what I mean? Like a real band, because the last 25 years, everything's Pro Tools, everything's perfect. When you record now, and you record everything with a click, and which is great. I mean, that's just how it is now. But it was very refreshing to hear tracks that were just 4 guys going in and go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom.
Hmm.
So I love those tracks. And then some of those tracks were demos that never made it to a record because of whatever reason, just wasn't right at that time, particular song. But now they sound great. It's like, wow, you know, why didn't we put that on the record? It's like makes you think, but there's a lot involved back then. There's the record company, your management, and all this stuff. So we found all those songs that were going to work. And then it's like, okay. And we ended up recording 5 new songs. A couple were redos that worked out really well. Um, so it's an interesting album. We had to all be with it or it wouldn't come out. And everybody was pleased. So, here it is.
So single, everything it takes to be happy. It's a brand new song or another.
That particular song was a song we recorded and never released.
Okay, so like that's a great song.
Yeah,
And
but it
so,
wasn't right for them
okay,
for some reason, or there are others that people liked more at that time, and it had a lot to do with the record label or whatever. We want this, this, and this kind of thing. But yeah, that's one of those things where I like, wow, I love this song.
so
This is
then you guys
cool.
take the master tape and just kind of redo it, or like just kind of
Well,
re.
remaster it. We remastered that one because I didn't have the master tapes to that. I had a mixed master, but I couldn't go in and redo anything. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So, but hey, man, in New York City back in those days, the engineers had it together, man. This is when we went to good, really good studios. I mean, with really good engineers. And I always loved the way the cats back in those days in New York mix because they're all about the drums and bass. You know what I mean? Whereas if a lot of the cats in LA were not didn't have the New York sound. It was a different thing. It was lighter. New York was all about, you know,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
deliver that groove, man.
So
Um,
sorry for the delay. Also is what we say a new one.
no, that's on the first record. That was the demo for the record. And Sorry for Delay is very interesting because it has a whole different verse.
Okay.
We edited one verse out of that song. And so I thought it was really cool. Well, that was a popular song for us. And I thought it was cool to have a song where, well, this originally had an extra whole verse in it. So it's kind of cool. And I'm like, well, that's cool. And the track's good. And like I said, we just went in and it's, you know, played it, you
So
know.
Stephen, let's say for these songs, they sound like they're re-recorded. They sound like great. So it's you guys did a great job back in the day to have it like this.
Well, yeah, like I said, those engineers were happening then.
I can see that now.
Yeah, yeah, they were happening. And also in the mastering, we had a really good guy mastering our stuff. And that helps too because you want to get the bass kind of equal with each song, and the
Yeah.
overall volume. And if something sounds a little too this way, then you can back off on a little bit. So mastering is very important. Always has been.
Yes.
Um, but it really helped on this edition. Now you got a download of 12 tracks, right? Is that what you
Yeah.
got? Okay, on the hard copy CD, there's actually an additional song. We did a Beatles song,
Okay.
and we did a version of the Beatles "And I Love Her,"
Oh
but
wow.
you can only get it on the CD. But I
Okay.
mean, I'd be happy to send it to you if you'd like to hear it. I can send you a wave of that track. We decided. I asked Pete. I said, Pete, we should do a Beatles song because we love the Beatles and we nicked their idea for this. So
Yeah.
and I originally said, well, why don't we do For No One from Revolver? Because that's my favorite Beatle record, Revolver, I think. I like so many of them. But anyway, and Pete said, okay. But then he said, how about we do like a version of And I Love Her, but make it sound like Novo Combo. Whereas, the original Beatle version is very sparse. I think it's a nylon string and bongos. Whereas we were able to put like a Latin beat with it, which is very Novo Combo like, and because of Michael, the way he plays and everything, and I put a lot of percussion on it, and it came out really nice, really good, and that's our little tribute and thanks to the Beatles.
So Stephen, let's say go more into your archives, like let's say for videos and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff on YouTube is like the old MTV2 stuff, and the quality is like just not up to par to HD. You guys have access to like remaster that stuff in the future, like the promo videos back in
No, I
the day?
mean, people just well, I mean, I actually do have master tapes on some of this stuff, but I don't really care about them.
Okay.
Because I thought the videos were good back then because they were good advertising. They're advertisements, and but they're silly. A lot of you look back at those '80s videos, and they're dumb because it's like first of all videos. I don't even like the medium of videotape. I prefer film. I think on the tattoo video we actually had film. It's so much better.
Hmm.
But when it was new, and so you had all these people buying video cameras and but they usually are silly. A lot of them are silly. Um, but we do have some videos that we're going to be putting out where we're actually playing live, and nobody's ever seen them before that I know. We had an Italian film crew wanted to come and interview us and film because they were, for some maybe Italian TV show. I don't know. I don't even know if it even happened. But they came. It was very primitive. They had like one camera and a mic, and we were at a sound check at a gig, and they interviewed us, and then we played a couple songs. And I think it's probably the only film in existence that you can see we're actually singing and playing at the same time. I mean, there's plenty of, film or videos where we're lip syncing,
Mhm.
and there's plenty of live shows that we did, but no, visual and audio at the same time. And even though it's like, it's low tech,
Mhm.
um, you really can see what we were about live. Now, we weren't, like I said, we weren't playing for a live audience, so we're a little more subdued than normal because everybody feeds off of a live audience, of course. Um, but they're a good representation of what we were like live, and we'll be putting those out in the next few weeks. We have two of them. We did Long Road, which is on the new record, and we did E Train Revisited, which
Mhm.
was City Bound. We did that, and so we had that, and it's been sitting in the can forever. I mean, I had these tapes that were huge because back then tapes were, machines were weird. You know what I mean? Like the cassettes were large,
Yeah.
and so I had to find a place in New York that could actually transfer them. But I did.
Um,
I found a place, and so I sent them up, and they'll be coming out.
what was it? Betamax?
I don't know. Who knows? Because it was an Italian thing, so who knows what they had over there? I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, I didn't remember. That's a
you're
long
lucky
time
to
ago.
have that, and memories like that for fans is important too.
Yeah, it is. It's cool, and it's nice to have it. And so this has been sitting in there all this time, and this all came together, so it sort of works out really well.
So it's like that. You guys planning on playing some live shows anytime soon? Also,
No, we're not planning on it. But I've learned to say never, I suppose. But we'll see what happens. We might do some things, but we're still talking about it. Um, I am going to be doing some shows with my other band, and um, I'm going to be performing E Train on that gig, um, as well as a bunch of other stuff. The band that I'm playing with down here in Florida. I live in Florida, by the way. Long ways away from you.
a little bit. I mean, I'm in Nova Scotia,
Yeah,
so that's far away enough.
yeah.
Let's say for your other group, I mean, you keep a lot busy on that. You play a lot.
Yes. Well, we have our own record label. Um, and I've been producing records for 20 years for that. It's been doing a lot of roots music, um, like roots rock, soul, old school soul music, um, blues, rhythm and blues, Americana, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And, and it's always just about good songs. Whoever I work with, I produced an co-produced an artist last year for our label named Dyer Davis. Really strong, young guy, but loves British blues rock. I mean, he's a big fan of like um, the Jeff Beck group, like with Rod Stewart.
Right.
This guy kind of sings that way, and his dad played him all those records when he was a kid, and he loves them. And so we actually even covered one of Jeff Beck's songs from the Truth record. And I don't know if you're familiar with Truth, but that was a good, important record back in the day. And I saw that band. I saw them play with Rod Stewart singing, and nobody even knew who Rod Stewart was at that time. But I thought, wow, what a great singer. And but a lot of different artists. I've produced Victor Wainwright, who's a very successful roots artist. In fact, Grammy nominated guy, and we still work together. And he's a part of Wild Roots Records, and so I just keep busy, doing what I do. And right now, like I said, we're doing this Wild Roots All Star thing, where we have some really good players that I know, kind of like what is it, the Immediate Family, or like these bands that where everybody has played on a lot of stuff, a lot of them behind the scenes and stuff. Like we have Charlie Dechant in the band from Hall and Oates, the sax player.
Right.
Um, he's played all those famous solos on Hall and Oates songs. Anyway, he's in the band because he's played with the Wild Roots for years because he lives down here, and I've known Charlie forever. And so cats like him and other guys that have worked with everybody, just a lot of really good players. And we'll be doing a show. And actually, the show that we're doing first, we're going to be doing a lot of kind of like a tribute to the band. Uh,
Okay.
we love the band, and Bob Dylan. And then within the show, we also feature what each person has done with their other acts. But mainly it brought us together because we love the band.
Good.
Yeah.
And change subjects for a minute. How did you do in the big hurricane you guys had in Florida a little while ago?
Well, we did okay. We lucked out really because we're on the we're on the east side, and the hurricanes came into the west side. And our house in particular, our house is built up. We have a house a little higher, and so even though there's like a lot of water, a lot of flooding in Florida. Um, I mean, Florida is basically on a floodplain.
Yeah.
If you don't build up and you have excessive amounts of water, you're going to get water.
Hmm.
And water is extremely damaging. And I mean, you live in California, it's fires. You live here, it's water. So, but we did okay. I can't complain. The same thing. We know, we hunker down, put all the shutters up, get the generator ready. And we only had to have the generator on one day this
Okay.
last time. So, I mean, whenever they come, we've lost electricity once for like 3 weeks. So, I know how bad it can be.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, I had a friend where a tree fell on his house. Not good. So, in fact, we had a lot of trees cut back. Or, it's all about that now, man. You have to be hurricane ready.
Yeah.
That's just part of it. It's part of the deal.
You gotta find time to prepare yourself anyways. They
Yeah.
happen quick.
Yeah, you got to be on it, man. You got to have everything together. We've got all kinds of stuff with water filters and, and you have to have enough water in case you lose your water and enough gas when you lose electricity because you will lose your electricity for sure.
Yeah.
But, it's just the routine you go in.
Yeah. Well, I hopefully this they stop being strong like that because it's not good.
Well, I think, yeah, no kidding. Well, it seems like it's hardly any place you can go now where there's not some catastrophic things happening, at least
Hmm.
in the States. It's like, well, there's fires over there. And in fact, the flooding thing, I mean, in North Carolina, boy, they got it really bad because they're just not equipped for it. And they have all these mountains and stuff, and all the mud starts sliding down and destroying streets. And I mean, just terrible. And they lose their water. Not only they lose their power, but they lose access to water and
Yeah.
sewage and all this. It's devastating.
I think all around, even up here, weather's different and everywhere, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my wife and I, we have like a little orchard and garden where we grow our own vegetables and stuff. And over the years, I could just see things are not the same. They're just not the same. When you plant something, they usually come up at a certain time, but everything is changing. And I've been telling Patty, like, every year, everything's changing, gradually. And now they've had to like revamp their whole charts about when to grow things because it's
Yeah.
hotter, you
Mm.
know,
Not good, not good.
not good.
Just go back on a bright side here. Let's
Yeah,
say
let's go back to the
with
music.
with
Save us music.
with the music and the Novo Combo, you guys basically are online promoting the product and selling it, online.
Yes.
It's basically either Bandzoogle or Zoogle, and
Bandzoogle.
yeah,
Bandzoogle.
and
Novocombo.com,
okay,
wildrootsrecords.com,
right,
and also we're on Facebook as well. We have a page, Novo Combo page there, and that we're trying to build up and just get the word out. And doing shows like yours helps us a lot get the word out. We appreciate that.
good, and you just keep on doing the great work and keep safe always. and it's like that. Do more products.
Yes. Well, as long as we have our health, we'll keep making music.
All right. Well, Stephen, you've been a pleasure to talk to, and hopefully Pete feels better soon.
Yeah, get better, Pete.
Get better, Pete. All right. Well, thank you
Jason,
very
thanks so
much.
much, man.
Hey, you're
Thank you for
welcome.
having me.
Okay. You have a good evening.
You too, Chase.
Okay. Good night.